Hello and welcome to Michael's Record Collection. I'm very excited to have with me today on the program Nathan James from the band Inglorious. Nathan, thank you for your time today.
Thank you for talking to me, man. I appreciate it.
You guys put out earlier this year a really great fourth album called We Will Ride, and now you've got a new album set for release on September 10th, which I believe will be slightly past by the time this podcast goes live. But the new one is called Heroine. It is a tribute to women who have influenced you guys musically and or vocally. Uh, and I guess my first question would be, on the heels of an album like We Will Ride, why was now the time to do this?
The main reason was because we couldn't perform, right? So we've been in lockdown for so long, and we had to do a covers album as part of our record contract. And I thought, why not do it in lockdown when that's pretty much the only thing we were allowed to do was record? So it made perfect sense to do it now. We won't get this time ever again, probably, to do it. And yeah, I wanted to do something a bit different. It would have been very easy for us to do an album of Whitesnake and Deep Purple covers,
Yeah.
but it's something different. It's showing people that just the versatility of this lineup, especially, this is the one, the third lineup of the band now, and the versatility in the musicianship is quite astounding.
Yeah, this band you put together, yourself on vocals, Danny De La Cruz and Dan Stevens on guitars, Vinny Cola on bass, and Phil Beaver on drums and percussion. And so basically, what I'm picking up from what you just said is was this this heroin tribute? Was this your idea? Was this your sort of the germination came from you?
Yeah, it did. I wanted to. Everyone assumes that I love only those classic rock voices, Paul Rodgers, Coverdale, Hughes, Plant, and it's so much more than that. Like, if you, I'm 30, I'm in my early 30s, so I kind of grew up in the early 2000s. So my music taste is different to someone who's in their 50s. Although I love that music, and if you
Hmm.
saw my Spotify playlist, you'd probably think I was in my 50s. Uh, I am influenced by all those people, and those people like Avril Lavigne and stuff were a huge part of my growing up, because that song was "I'm With You," which was our third single from this. That was our school prom song. Like, that was like, that's so I come from a kind of different time. So my influences are very vast, and all of my 70s and 80s references come from my dad's collection of music, and come from me investigating that myself when I learnt about it.
Yeah. So what was the first album that kind of, or even song that kind of grabbed you as a kid?
This is a weird one. It was Michael Jackson's Earth Song. And the
Okay.
reason was because the video was amazing. It was him in the, like, desert, and there was, like, famine, and it was just the most unbelievably powerful video. And it's a rock song, so it's big guitars. It's a massive chorus. That was the first song that I remember buying on cassette. Uh, so yeah, probably that, actually.
Okay. Um, when you set out to put this album together, did you start with the artists or did you start with the songs?
Artists. I started with artists, and I collected a Spotify playlist of all of my favorite female artists. So I was adding people in there and taking their kind of best songs that I thought might work, two or three of their songs. But the list was like 50 tunes. So I then had to keep editing it down and getting it down to a more workable number. But there's some greats on there that we missed. That I'd hopefully one day I'll get to do that. I wanted to do Stevie Nicks. I wanted to do Blondie, Call Me. I wanted to do Cher, Lady Gaga. The list is endless, really.
Yeah. Might we see a second Heroin album in the future sometime?
I know it's just coming up with a title, and I don't think more heroin is appropriate.
No, no. No, that would not probably be the best title. It's a fantastic collection of songs in terms of the variety. Some of these are not obvious covers for a band like Inglorious that is known for doing that hard rock style, and other ones are some are obvious and some are not. I mean, you've got Barracuda, which obviously is something that one might expect, or I Hate Myself for Loving You. But you start off with a Whitney Houston song from the Bodyguard soundtrack, 1993, and it's people don't really think of Whitney Houston as a rocker, but that is like I just did an A/B comparison to the songs today, and that song is a rocker.
It's a rock song.
Yeah.
It's got heavy guitar riffs. It's got big vocals. It's got a really strong, angry message, and it's got a guitar solo, a long one as well, which in a pop record is really unheard of. So, that and the other one that always I think shocks people is the Christina Aguilera song.
Yes.
Fighter is a rock song. Like it's da 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 da. It's a heavy riff and big vocals. So yeah, they are. There are definitely a few surprises on there, and I'm sure people would look at that and go, Whitney Houston. But maybe when they hear us do it, they get it. I think we tried to make it a bit more like almost extreme kind of thing. That early 90s kind of... That's where we were trying to go with it. I think that's actually might have been maybe their go-to, actually. Maybe what they were trying to achieve when they originally put that together.
So the songs that you chose here, we'll just run through the track list here. We talked about Queen of the Night. Then you come back with 1977's Barracuda. That's again for a rock band like Inglorious. That's right in your wheelhouse. Then 2020, the newest song you have on here, Midnight Sky, from Miley Cyrus. And this song is kind of the original is kind of a synth pop song, but you guys really turn it into a real serious rock song, and it's probably one of the highlights for me on the album.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. It's actually produced by, I don't know if everyone knows this, it's produced by Andrew Watt. And Andrew Watt was, he was in a band with Glenn Hughes called California Breed a few years ago.
Okay.
He's an incredible guitar player, but he's gone on to be this amazing producer. And I think he kind of, when he writes songs and when he writes parts and stuff, I think because he comes from that rock world, everything kind of lends itself to being very easily transferable. Because that's a song that shouldn't really work, A Miley Cyrus song shouldn't work with five dudes playing it, but it definitely works. We performed at a biker festival the other day here in the UK, and 4,000 bikers were singing along. So it definitely works.
Yeah. The thing is, I think a lot of people are quick to dismiss somebody like Miley Cyrus. Like rock fans, I think, are quick to do that because of the fact she was a child star and kind of started off as sort of this teen sensation and pop star. And then I think what it shows is that a good song is a good song, and it just sometimes something's not in your wheelhouse because of the genre or the style it's in, but it's still a good song.
Absolutely. And it's interesting you say that, because I don't think the rock world has a problem with Taylor Momsen. Do you know what I mean? Who similarly comes from a child star point of view and is accepted kind of in the rock world. I think there is more of an issue with Miley, but I don't think the world are ready to talk about that yet.
Quick question. Was it important to you that every one of these 11 songs on this album were at least co-written by the woman who sings it?
No, because we almost did I Will Always Love You, and that was written by Dolly. That wasn't even a Whitney song. So it wasn't about that. It's about it's about who made it famous, because the song is only as good as the singer that sings it, in my opinion.
Okay.
Like Celine Dion never wrote a song in her whole life, but she's sung the best songs of all time. So, it's more about the talent and the voice of the individual.
Yeah. After Miley, you went with Tina Turner's Nutbush City, a 1973 song about her hometown. What was it about that song particularly that spoke to you?
I like that it moves and grooves like a train. It's just a never-ending energy song, really high energy. I heard the amazing Beth Hart do it before with Joe Bonamassa, and I love the song. I think it's a great song, and I think Tina is someone who really needed celebrating, because we're lucky to live in the same time as some of these people. You know, like
Yeah.
that. She's an icon on so many levels, and she's been through so much, but she's gifted the world so much as far as her talent. So yeah, we definitely had to do that, and that song just it really suited the band. It's a chance for people to get to really hear my rhythm section groove together. You know,
Hmm.
like Vinny and Phil in my band are so tight, and you can really definitely hear that on that song.
Yeah. The the horns. Tell me about the horns. Those aren't real horns, are they?
For real, yeah,
They are? Are they?
yeah, yeah.
How did that come about?
They better be. I paid for them. Um, I was in the studio and we were trying to come up with like a horn sound that sounded right, and our producer was like, "This just sucks." Like he was like, "We need real horns," um, and he was like, "Okay, look, I've got these two guys." So the two guys came and did it, and yeah, it's the first ever Inglorious song that's got horns on. But it needs that. It needed that kind of that real vintage sound, and it inspired me almost a bit like Aerosmith. You know what I mean? Like that same horn sound that they have that just makes everything sound cool. I think horns are cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to do a whole big band album, you know, or like I think was there a Slash's Snake Pit album where there was some horns on or something? I can't remember. I like that sound. I like the big over the
Okay.
top sound.
I could envision an Inglorious concert with the symphony orchestra behind you.
That's the dream. Like
Yeah.
the same with like you must have seen the Deep Purple orchestra shows and stuff like that. That is like my wildest dreams. And having been in bands with orchestras, I've obviously been in the Trans-Siberian Orchestra before,
Yeah.
and I've sung over here with Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds, which is we have a 50-piece orchestra on stage every night. So I I love that sound, and I love that feeling of being stood there in front of all those people. It's brilliant.
Yeah. So I'm listening to this today and I'm doing my A/B comparison and I'm thinking those horns sound real, but this isn't a band that does horns. That's what made me ask the question.
Yeah, not before. We might again. You never know. Album six. Maybe it's going to be all horns.
There you go. Um, then you go with Evanescence's "Bring Me to Life," and it's from 2003. This was a lot of the songs came from that 2002 2003. Well, not a lot, but several of the songs came from the 2002 2003 time period. Evanescence doing "Bring Me to Life," and this one's got piano on it. Who plays the piano?
The piano is played by our producer Josiah, who is phenomenal. I don't know if you've heard of a guitarist over there called Chris Barris. Have you heard of Chris Barris?
I'm not familiar with Chris.
He's a British blues guitarist. He's just gone down a much more heavy route, but this guy Josiah plays in his band. He's a phenomenal musician, and he lives like an hour away from me in Devon, so I always use his studio. I've used it on all the projects I've done. I just did an album with Michael Sweet, Joel Hoekstra, Marco Mendoza, and Tommy Aldridge, and I recorded all the vocals there for that as well. So he's a real good friend, and he's just the most monstrous player. Like a really beautiful piano player, and if people like that kind of thing, on the Japanese version, we've actually done a fully acoustic live version of "I Am the Fire" by Hailstorm, which is just myself and him, one take, one time through, and it's something that I'm really very proud of. He did an amazing job.
Well, now I have to get the Japanese version. um, yeah, it's uh, one thing I had a question about was your recording of this. You just talked about the studio, and it made me realize that you guys were in lockdown. Were you able to get together to record, or did everybody do their parts separately?
For the first album, for We Will Ride, we actually did manage to get into the studio kind of together, although we weren't allowed in the room together. So it was only one at a time, or two in the building. So two had to be back at the apartment that we rented for the like few weeks, and then we had to swap over. And then with this album, with Heroine, the drums went down first, and then Phil, my drummer, was in the studio for I think 2 days. He did everything in like 2 days.
Wow.
After that happened, the drums got sent away to the boys. The boys did all their guitars at home, every guitar, bass at home. Then we came back, put the keys on, and then I did 4 days, 4 afternoons of vocals. So we did keys in the morning, vocals in the afternoon. So yeah, we actually only spent 6 days in the studio for this album.
Wow. It came together very nicely. You mentioned Fighter earlier. That's the next track, 2002 from Stripped. I have to say it's one of my favorite interpretations on the album. I'm not a huge Christina Aguilera fan. I am in my 50s. So she came along a little bit after me. But I respect her voice for sure. And that again, this shows you that a different interpretation of a song shows you how strong the song actually is.
Absolutely, and we really didn't do much to it. Like if you hear the AB, the only thing that the major change we made was the intro, which when I heard that chord progression, I thought, you know who would love that chord progression? Yngwie Malmsteen. So we kind of put that neoclassical guitar solo over the intro, and instead of me trying to do some American accent saying the words that are on the original, I thought, no, we'll leave that as a guitar moment. And yeah, that one's fun for me as well because it's lots of harmonies. So there's loads of stacked harmonies, and it's really tricky to sing because her voice moves so quickly, and all those riffs and runs that she's synonymous for, I'm not. So I had to really kind of practice that to get it right.
Yeah, the Avril Lavigne song is after that. I'm With You, again from 2002. What I really liked about this song is the yeah yeah section that you guys had in there.
Oh, in the middle, yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That was really great.
Thanks, man.
Then you have the I Hate Myself for Loving You. Again, this is a rock song that you would maybe expect a band like Inglorious to cover, 1988, from up your alley. I think the drum sound on this song is huge from Phil.
It's massive, yeah. And also, there's something that you have to listen out for now is that we put Phil Beaver drums and percussion. The percussion is basically for this song alone. He basically played everything. He was like in the room, and I think we did 1 or 2 takes through, and he would just grab something else and just start playing it after the verse. Then he'd grab something else, and then he'd be playing that, and then he'd be stood there, and he was just having the time of his life. Like, I've never seen him so happy. So yeah, I think Josiah, the producer, took clips of that and then just looped them and changed it around. But no, it worked really well, and Phil's an amazing drummer. He really is a left-handed monster. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big part of the. It would be easy to just do a straight copy of that song because it's such a good rocking song, but the drum sound in that just takes it to a different place and makes it inglorious, in nature. Then you have Hailstorm's "I Am the Fire" from 2015, and then you slow things down a little bit. You go with "Time After Time" from Cyndi Lauper, and I was half expecting. I was really waiting to get to this song when I saw the track list and I'm listening to the album, and I thought this is going to be interesting to see how they do this one because I have heard rocking versions of this before. The Urbane is a band that has done a really nice cover of this, but you guys didn't go for it there. You went soft, and you kept it very within the mood of the original song.
Well, the original's so 80s in production, right? It's the very synthy, very boppy kind of pop song. But if you listen to the lyrics that she's written, they're so emotive.
Mm-hmm.
They're beautiful words. And I felt like it made more sense for us to do it that way than to try and just make it uncomfortable. And yeah, for me, it needed to be pure, and I really wanted to show off Danny, my guitarist. He plays the most beautiful solo in that song, and I think people who don't play guitar will not realize just the amount of feel and taste that takes to pull off at 21 years old. I think it's quite amazing.
Yeah, that's my note from this song is intricate guitar work. So
yeah,
yeah, it does stand
stunning.
out.
Yeah, it's a stunning bit of playing, and I just love it. like I say, it's about versatility. I like that we as a band can do a Cyndi Lauper song. I like that we can do a Whitney Houston song. I like that if you told us to do a Def Leppard song, we'd probably be able to do it. If you told us to do, we could pretty much as a group do anything, and that's I think is really cool because live that gives us endless amount of possibilities.
Yeah. The album closes with "Uninvited" by Alanis Morissette, 1998, from another soundtrack song. Um, Incredible soloing on this song.
Yeah.
And it's just a song that's built on those four piano notes, and you got the piano back for this one. Um, Tell me about singing this song because Alanis's delivery is unique. She really kind of hangs on syllables in the middle of words a lot of times where other singers don't. So was that more challenging than the Christina stuff? What was the toughest thing to sing on this album?
Well, this one was good because the reason this album came about was because we were doing this cover on tour, and I remember thinking, God, people really react well to that. Maybe we should record it, and everyone kept saying, "Put it on your next album, put it on your next album," and we weren't going to put it on an original album. So that's kind of why. So it was already in me, and live, it's so powerful. It feels like Zeppelin. You know what I mean? It's that big, over the top, just relentless kind of riff.
Hmm.
And for me, as a singer, that's where I'm most comfortable. I'm most comfortable in that place where my voice is high and really forward, and that I'm doing that face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where I like to be. Um, so that was kind of easy for me vocally. The ones that were tougher were Whitney Houston. I Am the Fire. Lizzie Hale is such a phenomenal talent.
It's very high. You got to hit some notes
Very
there.
high. And we dropped the tone of that. So I think we dropped that by like a semitone or a tone. Same with Amy Lee and Evanescence. We dropped that by a tone, which Jeff Scott Soto was kind of sad about because he could have done his bit, the tone up, but I just couldn't, like these are some of the best singers of all time. Like I wanted to sound comfortable doing it and not sound like I was on the edge of my voice.
Yeah. And you have to save your voice if you're doing these songs on tour. If you're doing some of these, you're not going to be able to make it through a whole tour doing that every
No.
night.
And we're just about to start our own tour. We're doing 90-minute sets, and 90 minutes of screaming up there is just too much it's too much for the audience as well. No one wants to hear that for 90 minutes, really.
So are you doing you're doing just the UK right now?
Yep. Obviously, COVID has impacted all our European plans and anything else. And obviously, Brexit has played a big part in that here as well. Which I was just saying to someone else that it may be easier for us to tour North America than it is to tour Europe at the rate this is going. So yeah, we will see what happens. But I can't wait. I can't wait to get over there. I miss being in North America.
Now that you've heard how these songs have come out, do you have a favorite from this album?
Um, I'd probably say my favorite is "Bring Me to Life" because I get to sing with Jeff Scott Soto, who is just one of my best friends and one of the best voices in rock. So yeah, to be on a song with him finally is pretty cool. Uh, and yeah, I love that song. That song is our childhood. Same with
Yeah.
Avril Lavigne, like you say about that 2002 to 2003 time. That's my teen years in school. So it's they're very nostalgic. When I hear that song, it means a lot to me. It takes me back to being 15 and being not fitting in at school and being maybe a bit of a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Music is a time machine, and so it
Absolutely.
takes you right back when you hear that song. I
Absolutely.
get it. I get it. Um, you have been influenced by a lot of women over the years. Do you recall who the first female vocalist was that you really kind of gravitated to?
The first female vocalist was probably It was probably Alanis. Because when Jagged Little Pill came out, I just couldn't believe what I was listening to. I thought she was the coolest person on the planet. I thought she was so unapologetic, and everything about her. She was singing about things that women had never sung about, you know? Like she really did lay everything on the line, and I really admired that. So probably her. And I think no one else sounds like her. I don't know anyone else who does that.
Yeah, for sure.
She's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with. I just probably a few months ago became aware of this group on Facebook called the New Wave of Classic Rock.
Okay, how's it going?
So the new wave of classic rock is it's a group that they're out to prove that the classic rock sound isn't dead. That there are bands like Inglorious and Mason Hill and bands like that are out there touring and making new music in the 2020s that is as good as the classic rock that we grew up with, that you grew up with, that I grew up with before you, and that you heard through your dad's records. Are you very aware of that group, or do what is your relationship there?
I'm aware of the group, yeah, and the guy who set it up, or one of the guys who set it up, constantly says that we are one of the main catalysts for that group even starting, which was kind of flattering. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't pay too much attention to it because it's very oversaturated, and there's a lot of stuff in there that I just don't see. I don't see, basically.
Okay.
There's some great stuff in there, but everything I like about music is passion, authenticity, commitment, and talent. I like skill. I like that I've been lucky enough to sing with the best guitarists on the planet, and be in bands with legends. I did Ginger Baker's last album before he died at Abbey Road. I've worked with the best of the best, mm-hmm. And I just have a high kind of quality control, I suppose, for my iTunes or my Amazon playlist or whatever. Yeah, I think they do a great job at spreading the word. Mm-hmm. But there's other things that do that here in the UK, especially Planet Rock, which is a big radio station. They play a lot of new rock. They were a big support to us, and we've had 11 playlisted singles from our 4 albums. So, yeah, I think they're great. They did a really cool thing actually. They put together this CD. I don't know if you saw it in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Loads of new bands on. And it gave the bands all an opportunity to kind of be in a chart-topping album, which is so cool. That took a lot of work, and I think they're all really awesome. What I think they should do is work at putting on a festival. I think they should put on a festival and make it a thing, because otherwise it's just relentless posts on Facebook about the same bands over and over and over and over again. Some of them get 2 likes, and some of them get 100 likes. But that group will not change the world. They have to be outside of the group to change the world.
Yeah. The torchbearers are just it's an echo chamber for them. Yeah. They're telling each other about how great their favorite bands are, but they're all listening to the same bands. That they're not spreading the gospel outside of the main group. I hear you. I get what you're saying. A festival would be phenomenal. I know our time's short, but before I let you go, I did wonder about your listening habits. You are a musician. I don't know how much time you have to listen to music, and I was wondering, what your listening habits are like.
So I live on a farm in Devon with my family. I live in an apartment on the side of their house, and we have 22 acres of land. So I have to cut the grass on my tractor every week. So that's where I get most of my listening done. So I listen on Spotify mostly, and I will put my in-ear monitors in that I use on stage because they block out the sound of the tractor. Uh, and I will do, yeah, I'll do the lawn, which takes me about 4 to 5 hours. So I'll do that once a week. I don't like listening to music at home, really. I'm in a weird place now where I feel like, because it is my work, I I listen to music differently than I did before. Um, I much prefer it to be live. Yeah, I would go to any live gig, no matter if the band sucked. I would go. I I like being in a crowd. I like live music. I like having a drink. I like seeing my friends. I like that
Nice.
aspect of music. But no, I don't just sit at home and put on a record anymore. I'm not that guy.
All right. Last question. Do you have a favorite record of all time?
Oh, the record that this the record that changed my life was Appetite for Destruction. Like I it came out the year I was born, and I think it's aged far better than I have. I think it's perfect. I think it's a perfect rock album. I think it's so cool.
All right, Nathan James from Inglorious. I thank you so much for your time. You've been fantastic. Best of luck with Heroine and with We Will Ride, which is a fantastic album. It's probably going to be on my best of list at the end of the year, the way things are going. And really appreciate your time today.
Appreciate it, buddy. Pleasure talking.